I don't even know where to start with you. I mean, do you even know who you're talking to? Do you have any idea who I am?
I mean, I used to, Scout. I used to know who you were. You were tough, a smart mouth, arrogant, so full of yourself. And yet, you are the most energetic of your team. But now, you're just a dumbass Marvel-written Redditor.
Oh!
I'm vouching done. You can do this show without me. When you see the character, the Scout, for the first time, what do you think? Not that one, but he's good too.
What?
I mean this one. Take a good long look. You see a snarky, carefree young showboater, and yet, the perspective that we're seeing him from can tell you that he might actually be all that he claims to be. He might actually be able to beat your anus. That's what Valve wanted you to take away from this pose if you happen to see him on the main menu for the first time. Even on his little class portrait, he looks super pissed and focused on what he's doing. He's like, "What the hell did you say to me? I ought to beat your shit in." There's a reason why, in Meet the Scout, we see him maneuver through the entire blue team and manage to take on a heavy by himself. He might do it sloppily, but at least he's able to get it done. Arrogance.
Gotcha!
Despite showing who he is to his enemies through his combat, he treats his colleagues no differently. He doesn't kill them, but he isn't their friends either. He sees the Pyro as a freak. He sees himself as the next team messiah because he knows he is better than all of his team.
Yeah!
He taunts the Heavy for how he treats his minigun as his child. At best, he'll treat his own team like they finally took his advice.
Attaboy!
He still might have some brotherly love in him.
No way!
The only people who he really cares about are his mom, Miss Pauling, single moms, himself, and his bat. At his worst, the Scout will yell at his dumbass teammates to hurry it up.
Get on the freaking point, dumbass!
Like, Jesus, man, give me a second. The word please is not in his vocabulary at all.
Nope.
Trust me, I controlled F the wiki. It is even worse for the enemy team as he will call you fat, disabled, stupid, a moron, terrible, a filthy, disgusting rat, and more. He will let you know that you suck. We really need more characters like this, but adapted for the modern day. We don't need any more Pokemon characters sucking your Pokecock every time you boot up the game. We need characters like the Scout and Gary for the lovable yet hateable guts. The Scout sees him as the best thing God has ever created, next to Pikmin 2.
This sucks!
The Scout has that fact burned into his mind. Take this one TF2 blog post as an example. Here, we have a couple of action figures that are ready for sale that are definitely easier to find.
Ha!
However, for some reason, the Scout is the one that got to the blog post, and so he's gonna talk to you about these NECA figures. Basically, we're all Scout super fans! Let's go! NECA said they would make the best, most popular team member in TF2 into action figures. However, they screwed up. Maybe they are just testing the waters of doing weird versions of the Scout before hitting us with the good and true Batman. The versions of the Scout that we got were Chubby Firefighter Scout and One-Eyed Black Scout. Despite these not looking anything like Scout, the Scout knows that these will sell like hotcakes. And right he was. Damn it. We did eventually get 3 pieces of merchandise based on the true and original Scout. An actual action figure, a regular figure, and a plush. Muppet looking ass. The Scout action figure is well made, although it looks uneasy, but that's par for the course for most figures. It also includes his bat, pistol, scattergun, and another unique pose from him where he just looks like a scumbag. Speaking of his arsenal, from the very beginning, his weapons have always set his character in stone. There is a reason why the developers and artists of Team Fortress 2 wanted the Scout to have a bat and a submachine gun from the very beginning. They wanted a young bruiser. When you think of a youth with a submachine gun, you think of a gang, right?
Yeah!
Well, that's what the Scout and his brothers were. A pack of mad dogs. And yes, you heard me correctly. I said submachine gun. Concept art of the stock weapons indicate that the devs wanted the Scout's primary to be this classic looking MAC-10. Time flies and most of that concept art was realized into the Scout that we know and love today.
Yes!
Despite standing against time for almost 20 years. That is what I would say if Scout didn't become a Quirkosaurus Rex starting with the comics. I understand that these are comics, They are comedic. However, there becomes a point where a character becomes flanderized and a character becomes tarnished. The comics Meet the Director, A Visual History, and The Smithmas Story from 2010 and 2011 feature Scout acting as a sleazy jackass. He's hitting on women, telling married moms to screw off, and hyping himself up. Classic Scout.
Sweet!
And then we have the Team Fortress comics that has Scout become a punching bag. His built-up exaggeration of himself gets shot down instantly by any other character that usually mentions how frail looking he is. Then he becomes a Tom Jones superfan for some reason. Now, this would be in line for the Scout to spend all of his savings on something worthless due to him being young. But he can't expect me to think that a mercenary in his early 20s from Boston that had a tough upbringing would get a Tom Jones tattoo and put all of his mercenary money into memorabilia. This makes him look more dumb and silly than arrogant and sarcastic. Going ahead, we have Scout saying this to a bear. "Come and get your hot dog, pal, cause I'm gonna relish this." "Good one, son." "Thanks, soldier." What the hell? My friends would call me gay if I said that. I would be lynched if I said, "Heh, a bear." Good thing too, because I was craving some bear claws. This is the type of rating for Marvel movies. He's right behind me, isn't he? Heh, looks like somebody woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Just kill me. I may as well mention that he has the reading comprehension of a 3rd grader. He is seen reading the young reader's edition of a television script, and he is unable to read the word submachine guns. This might be due to his early life of being in fighting scraps, being one of many brothers, and having a single mom. So I doubt school was much of an issue to Scout, as he was busy trying to survive on the south side. I'd say this is a better way of expanding on Scout's pre-established character, since in his voice lines, it shows that he knows of certain topics, but he isn't smart enough to be clever or to have a deeper understanding of said topics. Like, he knows of Hippocrates, but he pronounces it as Hippocrates. He knows how to read, just not all that well as you would expect. Now listen, I know that some of these comics take place after the Gravel Wars, which is basically the war that the game takes place during. The comics are separate to the video game, so you can ignore the fact that Scout has become a little quirky and a pushover, right? Not me, your match! Oh, my back! Before we continue, I have a small announcement to make. Do you want to see your name on the bright lights here as a supporter of my videos? Well, consider joining my channel's membership by going to my channel. Here you will receive custom emojis, a nice tag next to your name, and a quick shout out for most of my videos. I would greatly appreciate the small tip as it will help me in continuing to make these videos. Now back to the show. So you may not know this, but when Valve added the well-respected competitive mode in Team Fortress 2, they added various voice lines for all of the classes. That's neat. That's good. It's been a while since we got some new voice lines outside of some taunts. Let's see what you have to say, Scout.
Go team, everybody! 6 trained killers, am I right? Best of the best, and best friends. We don't say it a lot, or at all, but we're all feeling it here, in our hearts. You know? The friendship. We're turning this ship around. The SS we're done sucking is about to launch. This is your captain speaking. Buckle your seatbelts, cause this boat's going like frickin' Mach 12! I got a bucket of chicken, and I'm here to kick ass. And I'm all out of chicken, so I lied about the chicken.
I know Valve partnered with Adult Swim for a little bit, but who the hell thought, hey, let's have the Scout talk like Morty from the Picklewick Show? Why is Scout a quirky band kid now? Was Valve trying to appeal to Reddit? He would never consider his team as a giant group of friends. Remember, he sees you as an underling if you are a male. He now monologues about the semantics about what he's talking about. This is not cool beans. This is just Brussels sprouts. Now we just have some conflicting character dialogue. We have somebody that was made to be an overly confident, brash killer, and now we have him explaining how incorrect he was, or how the team of merciless men that are twice his age are now his ooh friends. This is messed up, since whoever wrote the lines for the Scout in the Versus Saxon Hale game mode did a better job of capturing the Scout's character. And they don't even work for Valve!
Take a look to the skies, dumbass! Ooh, you're gonna die now! Wall climbing is great, guys! It's like having a triple jump, or quadruple jump, or fifth tipple? Is that even a word?
For the most part. People were really calling these Saxon lines to be Marvel movie quality writing? Nah. Take a look at competitive mode.
Let's go over the plan, Scary Head. I'll run around and be awesome. You float over my head. Got it? Oh man, look at this scary hat floating above my head like a ghost or something. This hat's so great, I'm jealous of me.
I would use Halloween quotes for this argument of Scout becoming corrupted, but I would say they get a pass since they're already within the already wacky holiday, while Valve meant for us to take competitive seriously, and it would have been fully accessible for the entire year. I could also make plenty of excuses and play devil's advocate on certain things, like the rarity of competitive voice lines, or Scout's taunts not really being things that he does but the lines used still ties it to his character. He could be riding a dumbass scooter, but he is still full of himself without being contradictory or ironic.
Up on one stupid moped wheel. Hey, get out of my way, Chucklehead. Beep beep.
That's funny, and it works. He does not respect you, and he knows he is harder than August on this thing. Taunts aside, I would be doing a disservice to you if I set up a bunch of excuses and explanations on why some things can get a pass, when it fundamentally sours the character as a whole. We can say all of our yeah buts, howevers, and it's fines, but it's tough to separate the new from the old, as the two have now become one for many people to discover and perceive. That isn't fair, and I care too much about you to do that. I could spend all of my years in a soup kitchen and build up the reputation of being an honest and valiant member of my community, but let's say I slaughter a man, then it will become hard to look at me and see the same old person. Also, it doesn't help that the Scout is made to look like this in the workshop. Hey, I got a weird gas floating around me, how about that? Oh man, I got a new best friend now. I'm like a chick magnet, but instead of chicks, it's this. I would also say how his newer cosmetics also show for how his character is being dumbed down, but all things considered, I would say they aren't as horrible in comparison to the other classes' newer cosmetics. Ooh, I am the anime man Goku. Gentlemen, I am the spy, and I have a heckin' wholesome froze on my head. Heavy love sandwich, so I must obviously have like 20 of them on my head to show for how much Heavy, which is me, loves these bite-sized delicacies. Screw it. In comparison, the Scout looks like a genius next to these chuckleheads. But all things considered, it is hard not to see him as a dummy, or at least as a quirk chungus. Not because of his unnatural character progression, but because he hasn't liked the video or subscribed to the Bloop channel yet.
I'm gonna beat on your skull till I hit tonsils.
You rat bastard! I made you! Oh god! Devil man! Oh! Devil!